that you are doing a blog,
I
and could you just talk about your blog?
am. Well, basically, I decided. I think it was about maybe 2 months now.
Yes.
I decided one day I was like, do you know what? There's a lot of things I have put off for quite some time, including things that I enjoy doing, like being creative in different things. So I studied a lot of theatre, drama, media, radio broadcasting. I'd done for a couple of years whenever I lived in England,
Yeah.
and really didn't do much with it, to be honest, after I left. The same goes for my artwork. I did A level art, and then I sort of just didn't bother with it for a long time. And I kind of thought over the pandemic, whenever you're in the house and you're thinking, what could I be doing now? Once the house is redecorated, once you've cleaned everything from top to bottom, what's there to do? And I kind of think instead of sitting and sort of putting the world to rights and worrying about what everybody else is doing, maybe this time I need to refocus my energy on me and things that I enjoy doing, and another way of expressing myself without feeling anxious or stressed or anything. So I basically decided that I would create a blog because
Mm-hmm.
it was a very good way for me to express how I was feeling sometimes. I tend to be a person who can write and express myself better and how I'm feeling when I write rather than when I talk. I think sometimes when I talk, it can be miscommunicated.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yes.
felt that writing was a good way of me being able to splurge what I was feeling about different things and also about things that I like, things that I enjoy. Um, and then I kind of thought instead of keeping it to myself, why not share it? I'm sure there's other people out there that have the same mindset, like the same things as me, like the same creativity. So I thought it would be a good way of maybe to start. And I really didn't think it was going to be something that I would keep to or stick to because I tend to be someone who starts something and then doesn't finish. But
Yes.
I decided to go with it, and it's been good so far.
This is really good. Yes. So when did you decide to do your website? It's kind of like pictures and write
Um,
about something special that you really wanted.
I think it was like most things. So theanner.com is basically a website I decided to create. Um, I decided that if I was going to do a blog and I was going to have anything in the blog, it would have to be something that wouldn't be vague and it wouldn't be the same as everything else and it would be very true to me
Yeah.
and who I am. And it would be able to incorporate lots of things to do with art, music, um, even more music based because myself I'm a big music enthusiast and I just live my life like a soundtrack most of the time. So it wasn't until I decided then to do that and then I saw all the different avenues like social media that you can spread into, um and it was through that finding other people that do their own blogs, underground music scenes which I'd never heard tell of.
Yeah.
So it actually opened a lot of doors in that form, which I'd never really done before. And like social media's been around for years, and I just never thought of doing it. I think maybe we get to that point where we're thinking, oh, it's for younger people. It's something for people just to do with friends and likes and who are we, for
Yes.
people to look to see who they are. And I
You
kind of got
couldn't
bored with
see
it.
you couldn't see kind of like professional thing.
No, I couldn't because nowadays social media is all about who you are, how you look, what you're doing, how many likes,
Yes.
how many follows, and I was done with that. I couldn't be bothered with it anymore, and I it's just a very shallow way of looking at life. And I
Yeah.
wanted to find other people who were actually being creative, talented, people who didn't really aspire to be anything, but were just contributing to this yen thing that I had decided to create. So the yen is actually it's not just the currency.
Yeah.
It's also an English word, an old English word, which describes that feeling of nostalgia. It's like a longing for something. And I later found out that there's actually another word for it called subdaji, which is
Mm-hmm.
basically, it's a word that encompasses that feeling. So it's, if you're ever listening to music, if you ever are watching a movie, or if there's a picture that you look at and you have that feeling, you've never been there, you've never experienced it, but it gives you that feeling of goosebumps, or you're longing for something that you don't really know what it is
Yeah.
and you can't really describe it. So that was really kind of what I had based the whole entire website on, because I feel like it doesn't really matter what it is in life that people aspire aspire to, or like there is that aspect of people's lives where they do aspire for other things or long for things that they don't necessarily know about or have. And through that, the website was created. So content from people's music
Yeah.
that they've created, edits, art edits. I would be a big 80s enthusiast, which is how that's where I started off. That was the sort of basis. A lot of 80s enthusiasts, and I think now with the way things are going with the world, there's a lot of reflection going on in parallel to the 80s, because it's sort of a lot of similar things happening now that happened then.
It's bring together kind of like
Yeah.
what
So,
happened before,
yeah.
and then what is happening now.
Yeah, well, I feel like now, if you look at fashion, you hear music, you hear this sort of 80s synth music, you see a lot of people starting to wear the 80s thing, and it goes round in circles, the fashion industry and things like that, but I've just noticed now there has been this sort of revolution into originality.
Yeah.
People starting to realise that there is corporations and things that kind of change people's talents, and don't really see the full effect of what people can actually do and how talented people are. So I think it's quite good to see people using their own initiative, and they're self-made. They're making their own stuff.
Yes.
And they don't care whether people like it or not, which I think is even better. They let it speak for themselves.
Yes. So do you have a kind of a plan for the future? So what is your plan? If you have one and two.
I did up until May. No, I did up until March. Do you know what? I think a lot of people tend to plan and they don't know what they're planning for.
Yes.
I think me and you can testify to that, in the fact that when we first met and we kind of thought, oh, we will, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll travel, we'll do blah, blah, blah. And then
Yes.
all of a sudden, bam, you're hit with this thing. You can't leave the house, you can't go here, you can't go traveling. Like at the moment, you can travel, but you can't travel.